This is not what we watched.
Don't believe her lies.
Well, I just said, well, this is not what we watched. I'm only holding this up so we have a Blu-ray because we watched it on Disney Plus. So, ooh, Doctor Sleep director's cut. It was just as good as the theatrical cut, but longer. Ooh. You should introduce why it's been a while since we've done one of these.
Alright, so I just submitted my doctoral thesis this morning. And now I have time.
Dr. Omega, supervillain.
It does sound like it doesn't, though it does. Well, okay, I won't technically be a doctor, I believe, until I pass my Viva, which is going to be in early December. Date to be announced, so. But yeah, so I have some time now that I can watch things and not feel guilty.
Yeah, so,
I'm not, like, doing psychology.
if you're due a backseat critique...
Let her know, because mine like a sieve, this one.
Yes, so leave it a comment to remind us, and we'll get to them. We
like,
have
remember
time.
the time I gave you money 3 years ago and you never did anything with it? Because,
you know, we have a couple here, you know, sitting down there that need to do. But please, remind me so we can get on it, because right now we can.
Yes.
Anyway, we just watched Solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo,
That didn't happen. Because I think that's different rights holders.
The trailer, this film may well have made more money at the cinema if they had used that I'm Han Solo song in the trailer.
Alright, full disclosure, we saw it in the cinema years ago when it came
Yes.
out. I'm gonna say right off that I enjoyed it. I liked it. You know, I was expecting screwball Star Wars action, and that's exactly what I got.
Ironically, we almost got more screwball Star Wars action because the guys who were fired halfway through filming.
Apparently they're pretty good.
Were the screwball guys?
Yeah, but my supervisor actually, he's super into Star Wars, and so when I saw him again after the Christmas break,
Of course not. Of course he is, because he's got no sense of taste.
you watch it.
This is actually a detailed joke because he actually has no sense of smell, so he kind of finds it difficult to taste things in the same way that we do.
Don't dox people.
That's not a doxing.
But anyway,
That's why it was a joke.
So anyway, when I saw him after Christmas break, I was like, "Did you see it?" He's like, "I know, right?" And then so a friend of mine was with us, and she's also was his supervisee, and he's, "Did you see it?" And she was like, "What?" Because a friend of ours had just gotten their paper published, and she was like, "The paper?" We're like, "No, Solo." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, it was good." I liked it. I thought it was good. I liked the aesthetic of the Millennium Falcon. I love Lando, and I said at the time, I wish that they did it. I would watch a whole entire Netflix series of just Lando's adventures. And now one's been announced, although with COVID, God only even knows about that. But I think your man, he did a good job. He tried. Mm-hmm. When he was fired up, he did pull off like the diction.
Oh, you're talking about Han Solo again. I thought you were talking about Lando.
No, well, he did a good job too. Danny Glover did.
It's not Danny Glover. Donald Glover. Danny Glover's the guy from Lethal Weapon.
I thought...
Danny Glover is like 70. That's Donald Glover.
This is why I'm not good at film. Because I'll be like, hey, look, it's that guy. Like I was like, hey, look, it's your man. And you were like, Woody Harrelson? And I was like, yeah. That guy. Who else have I confused before? I did a really bad one once, and I was like, you know, the one, and you were like, no, that's not who that is. It's a completely different person.
That's happened several times. You just find it hard to place faces, and I'm quite good at remembering actors. So
yeah,
you're just like, hey, it's that guy.
Your man who did the song "This Is America."
That's Donald Glover.
Yes, that's who I meant.
Yeah,
Lando Calrissian. But anyway, no. So the guy that was Han Solo, he did a good job. I thought, like when he was fired up, of like channeling Harrison Ford.
It's certain angles and certain lightings.
No, I'm vocally, like his inflection.
And certain bits of performance, he was passable as Han Solo, but generally, they should have gone for the other guy.
Didn't like the SJW bot.
Alden Ehrenreich, whichever. The guy who did the freakishly good Han Solo impersonation and played young Harrison Ford in another movie. He should have played the part.
Yeah.
I mean, L3.
And now I couldn't see the other guy as anything other than Vision. Especially because we just watched the WandaVision trailer the other day. And it's going to be like, let me know if you find Han Solo, and also if you've seen Thanos.
Hello, I'm Paul Bettany. I have a long and storied career, but now I'm just a purple fucking robot.
Getting paid enough.
Oh.
That Disney money, yo. But what else? I mean, I thought it didn't hit the the 1970s, Empire aesthetic as much as
Rogue One.
Rogue One, which I mean, I know that this is also popular. I really enjoyed Rogue One as well.
Rogue One and Solo were two of the three best Star Wars films made since the prequels. There's only been 5 films made since the prequels, and you can guess about the identity of.
Well, here's the thing:
the 2 were
Rogue
bad.
One did something very new and very different,
And it's the first Star Wars film that felt like a war film.
Yeah, it deliberately stepped away from the hero's journey, the 3 acts. That's kind of.
It's not an adventure film set during a war. It's a proper war movie.
Yeah, it did something different, and I really liked that.
I like that too. I thought, yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying. I know they used the same thing because we saw it together.
Yeah.
But like critics, like
yeah, it's like okay. I did not like The Force Awakens. I was very open about that.
Great.
I didn't like the fact that it was a cover version of the original trilogy. Rogue One.
Fine.
If the guys who did Rogue One, because it was the guy who did Monsters and someone else. If they'd done the sequel trilogy, it would have had a totally different aesthetic. Like the prequels in the original series had different aesthetics, and that would have worked much better. And then the cover version of the original trilogy thing, maybe would have worked perfectly fine for Rogue One because it's set right at the same time.
Well, I liked all the stuff that Rian Johnson did.
And Last Jedi was the best of the new trilogy.
Ray, your parents are nobody. You just have the Force because that's how your genetics went. And I was like, yeah, anyone could have the Force, even me, even though I'm a psychologist.
But yeah, I thought Last Jedi was the best of the new trilogy, though it does not line up from Force Awakens, but Force Awakens is crap, and the comedy wasn't very good. But I fucking despise Rise of Skywalker. But this one is one of the better ones, though it's not perfect, and I can complain for days.
She can, believe me. I don't like the droid.
I like
her even less on rewatching.
I like all the droid stuff, except for the fact that she was enslaved. It's
irony.
What you've got there is, outside of R2-D2, or possibly even more than R2-D2, she's the only droid in Star Wars who is not on any level a servant.
Well, BB-8's kind of a pet.
Yeah, pet servant,
He's a companion.
Yeah, well, she is
He's a good boy.
She is...
They're good droids, Brent.
She's an individual who chooses to work with Lando Calrissian. The other ones, they have masters on some level. And so having her accidentally start the droid rebellion and stuff, and then, decide...
I would challenge you. I would say that R2-D2 doesn't really have a master. I would say that he did
That's why I said her and R2-D2 at the very start.
Alright, that's fair enough.
Because you can make the argument.
He chose to follow Luke.
Yeah. But, and then, you have her embracing fully the idea of droid freedom, which is a good thing. This is an absolutely fascinating thing for a Star Wars film, because droids are sentient, they are intelligent, and they are a slave race. And this is never brought up. And so you have it finally brought up, and then you have her who's pointing out the injustice of this. You have her brain enslaved and downloaded into the Falcon, where she's basically, I have no mouth and I must scream type situation. That's horrific. On every level. That's, Star Wars is full of horrific shit, but it's not really in the narrative very much.
Your sentence. What about the little one that's on the Death Star?
It clearly
it's
has
like a little mouse.
It clearly has some sort of a function, and it's intelligent enough to feel fear. I
wouldn't say it was fear. I was like an alert sound, like, oh no, people that I don't recognize, quickly.
Well, it was perfectly fine. It went up to them, and then Chewie yelled at it, and then it went back.
And it was like, that never happened before. Stormtroopers, quickly help me! It was like a little mouse. It's all a cat, and it got
possible
scared.
that not all droids are sentient, but
it ran to its master.
The main character ones are definitely C-3PO. What do you call him from Rogue One?
C-3PO is too sentient for his own good.
And what do you call him? IG-88 from
Alan
the
Tudyk.
Yeah.
I remembered him because he's your man from Firefly.
Yeah. But that was K2 something. But IG-88 is a bounty hunter who appeared in The Empire Strikes Back. They are all sentient. But, okay, Star Wars is full of horrific things.
What about General Grievous? He had, bio parts. Was he your droid?
He started out as a biological life form. That was supposed to
be a cyborg, I guess.
That was meant to be like a foreshadowing of Darth Vader.
Oh, okay.
But usually the horrible shit in Star Wars is in the extended universe or just glossed over, like the Sarlacc
Like
pit.
the zombie stormtroopers.
Yeah, the Sarlacc pit, the fact that at Jabba's palace you get a bunch of monks who will grab you and take your brain out and put you in spider robots.
Sometimes humans end up slaves. In Truce of Bakura, the lizard people, they were using humans as slaves.
Yeah.
And not only that, they like stripped their life essence and like put them into drones.
Is that Star Wars?
Yeah, that's Truce of
Okay.
Bakura's extending universe. I think Timothy Zahn wrote those.
Oh, okay. But all droids, except for like a couple, are slaves. And it's just really fucked up that the one character who's like putting it how fucked that is. You know, like Return of the Jedi had a droid torture chamber.
That's
the
true.
droids feel pain, and it's like so they're slaves. They're tortured.
Although that seems really like an inconvenient thing to program, unless you have a specific need, like a
to
droid.
control them.
No, like if you have a specific need for the droid to have like sensory functions,
It's
like
it's a useful thing if it's a slave race.
no, it's not because you could do that more efficiently electronically in another way. Like why bother like having circuits designed for that purpose?
You have to ask George Lucas because that was in Return of the Jedi.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you could allowed to pick holes in things because you were like,
Yeah.
wait a second, how could
Yeah.
someone fall in the way that broke their neck? I can be like, well,
Yeah.
knowing what I know, the teeny bit that I know about the economy of electronics just from working in telecom construction, you don't waste space, you don't waste money. It's not economical.
I agree that, but we're thinking of these at different angles. Like, in the for this one, is I'm looking at this happened, so you have to come up with an explanation, and so I'm not actually picking a hole at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's uneconomical.
I just wish that Rise of Skywalker had old Lando with another droid who was L3 who he'd managed to get out.
No,
of the
he could never own another droid. The trauma is so
if
great.
he'd got the brain out of the Falcon, put it into another robot body, and then at least we would have had a happy ending. Because as it is, that's one of the most horrific things that Star Wars has ever done.
Maybe like she found like solace. Maybe this was like all that she needed to know she wanted.
Being trapped in a body without any control, and then
No,
stolen by someone
like,
else.
if she's like on the ship, she can like fuck with people in ways she never could have before. Like, oh, it's so hot. Why? She would get the air conditioning fixed, and she's like, ha ha ha, this will never be fixed. I will burn the circuit out every time.
Those bits are probably because she is fucking with them because she's so annoyed.
Like, you know, like how the TARDIS will start to get pissy occasionally with the Doctor and just be like, no, you're not having that.
So at least TARDISes are created that way, so that's their natural state. With this one, it's like stuck in there.
Well, it's like the second book in Becky Chambers' Wayfarer series. Spoilers. So at the end of the first book, the AI computer system gets fried, and they might have to reset it. Well, there's a character who's in love with the AI, and he gets a hacker friend of his. And he's like, please, 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 please save her. And she's like, I could save her, but I will have to reset her. She will forget everything about you. And so what she ends up doing is downloading the AI off the ship and putting it into kind of like an android body that she like kind of bought on the black market because of doing something that's like really, really illegal. And the AI freaks the fuck out for a while in the beginning of the book because she's used to having infinite memory, and now all of a sudden she has finite memory. She's used to having a system of various cameras and having a ship body, and now all of a sudden she's contained, and it's really fascinating.
Yeah,
but so maybe this was the control and the power that she always dreamed of, and now she has it.
It's possible, though she's being flown by someone else. If she was an autonomous ship, then I could see it. But this is entirely a tangent.
That's an entirely different series. That's Gareth Powell's Emperors of War series, where Trouble Dog is a sentient ship. You should probably read the people I'm talking about because they're great authors. Just saying.
I would love to see a Star Wars film where the Star War is about a droid uprising, and then have none of the original characters in it, and never make a mention of when it's set, so we don't know if they're going to win or not. Yeah. We don't know if it's the past or the future.
In bocce language, no, it is I who am Spartacus.
That would be great.
I really need someone who can speak the bocce language of power converters. Or moisture evaporators. Moisture evaporators? Why, that was primary language.
But we should talk about other things.
Okay.
Well, you enjoyed the film. So
I did.
You should.
I liked Corellia. It felt depressing. I said it was a combination of like Detroit and Belfast, and you were like, "What?" And I was like, "Cause it's like the industrial the industrial hellhole that you were always told Detroit is. I've never been to Detroit, so I don't know. You know, combined with like the wet port that is Belfast, and you were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I didn't think Belfast was quite as bad as Detroit, but yeah, I could definitely see it now.
Detroit's probably not even really that bad now. Like you just grow up here. Well, in the '80s, they were like Detroit, the hell, and like, oh Jesus.
The aesthetic kind of reminded me of like an Eastern Bloc version of Blade Runner. You know, it's like just brutalist, and you know that's it.
And I had a realization halfway through the film. So in the beginning, like young Han is like, I have a thermal detonator, and the crime boss is like, that's obviously a rock. He's like, I just armed it. She goes, you made that noise with your mouth, and then he throws the rock and breaks a window, and she gets burned by the sun. And I'm like, okay, at some point, like logically, we take this. At some point, there was a conversation off camera where he was bragging to Leia about this time that he did that thing, and it was so cool. He probably lied and like made it sound really cool, and she was probably like, that was so stupid. But then she realized, you know, like, wait a minute, I'm competent. I could actually pull that off if I used a real thermal detonator.
Yeah, that's one of the you know many call forwards which I think kind of worked.
Yeah, because you can just totally seem like, all right, so here's how I went. There's this one time, right, when I was a kid, right, listen to this, and she's like,
yeah, like the guy being all like, your hand so low, that wasn't necessary. You know, him getting thrown that particular blaster wasn't necessary. A lot of these things aren't necessary. That one was a clever call forward.
It made people feel happy.
I don't believe in happiness.
I know. I know. I like the little refined unobtainium. The little I want like a I wonder if you could buy. I wonder if someone on Etsy makes those, like the refined thing.
Oh, coaxial.
Yeah.
Thing. The little I got a tiny bit of coaxial.
It looks really neat. It looks like the kind of prop that like it would be made of resin. And it would like have like little like blue LEDs in like the case. You could twist it like that, and it would light up and just have it on your desk and kind of be happy.
What I find baffling is many things, but the end of the film, they're all like, you know, we've had the adventure. Here we're on the desert planet, and oh no, here comes these twats, you know, Ferris Nest and their friends, and oh no, it's a 12-year-old who's clearly like
she's obviously in her early 20s.
It's Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn,
like
and then she's all like, listen. This crime syndicate that you're working for are a crime syndicate, and they totally killed a bunch of people, and do you know that? And everyone's like, oh my god, I'm shocked that these violent criminals who are working for are violent criminals.
No, Kira's not shocked. She was like slyly hit her
Everyone else was shocked.
Yeah, she wasn't shocked. She was like, motherfucker, we did it.
Who the fuck do you think you're working for?
Yeah, because like Woody Harrelson even says, oh, Crimson Dawn, they're big shit. They'll like kill you in a million ways.
Yeah. So why are you shocked that they kill people? And then you've got you know, Woody Harrelson at no point points out that, you know, Ferris Nest and all your twatty friends, you know, you killed my girlfriend and are my forearm dude, so fuck you, I don't care.
Technically, she killed herself.
Yeah, but they probably...
It was negligent homicide, but...
He could totally be understandable to blame them because she died in the mission.
Who voiced the wee monkey pilot?
Do not know.
Sounded a bit like he would have been Danny DeVito years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just think that, you know, at some point someone there should have been all like, you fucking cost our four-armed monkey dude who was really cool his life. Fuck you. I don't care about your old people who had their tongues cut out by Crimson Dawn or whoever you call them. They're fucking evil anyway. We know that. We just want the money. Fuck you and your stupid fucking helmeted 12-year-old Horizon Zero Dawn head.
Listen.
Although
she was obviously in a look. I still get carded for alcohol and I'm 40. Okay? She's obviously... you know, of age to have a SAG card or something.
And then, you know, Woody Harrelson...
Who played her? Not going to look it up.
Woody Harrelson can use all of his guns and kill all of them except for Warwick Davis because he was cool.
Well, he only had, like...
Because we like Warwick Davis because he's cool.
Right, IMDb.
It's thrilling. We're going to find out how old this lady was. She's like 12. She's getting younger in every scene she's in. It's ridiculous.
Hold on. What was her name?
Ferris Nest.
Alright.
I even remembered her name.
It's because the mobile interface is bad.
It's really funny that, what do you call him?
I didn't know that's how Kira was spelled. That's terrible.
It is. She's a master Terrace Cassie, which means that fucking video game is canon.
It was Jon Favreau. If that's who Rio Duran.
Oh, okay. Happy Hogan.
Okay. Erin Kellyman. Alright, let's see.
That sounds like a parody of an Irish name.
And 1998, so that would make her...
That would make her 19.
Born October 7th, so 98 to 08, and went to 18.
19.
Yeah.
It came out in 2017.
But she's still not 12.
Okay, so she was more likely 18 when they filmed it. Fuck you, Ferris Nest. And
She looks a bit older.
And your 12-year-old face.
I'm going to see who else is in this.
Okay, what else I could complain about? I did like the really funky slow-mo explosions that were taken from the slow-mo guys, on the train when the coaxial goes... Because apparently they watched a slow-mo guys video of an explosion at a high frame rate underwater, and they were like, that's a cool effect, let's put that in the film. And the slow-mo guys were like, hey, that's neat. What else? Apparently, Lando Calrissian, because in Rise of Skywalker, yet another problem with Rise of Skywalker, he's wearing the exact same outfit 50 years later.
And my point is, look, if it worked once, and because here's the thing, he's the kind of guy that would keep, vintage stuff around and then, try to pick up chicks in the canteen and be like, you like this? It was, so expensive, back in the day, 50 years ago. I ain't saying, I'm just saying, babe, and of course And because here's the thing, like I said, have you never had that, pair of trousers or something that you're like, oh, these are so out of style, and I finally fit into them. And, I said, I had this, goth industrial vest from Hot Topic. It was black, and I had, a whole bunch of, hooks and things and pockets. And if I still had that now that, I would fit into it, I'd fucking wear it. It looks nothing like anything I wear now, but...
Here's the thing. When you got someone who's wearing stuff that was really fashionable 50 years later, and they're in their 80s... Basically, that's the most sad thing you can see.
Okay, the woman who voiced the droid, doesn't she look a bit like your woman?
It's Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
From the 80s. She looks like your woman from the 80s. Winona Ryder.
Yeah, she does.
Maybe it's just the hair.
Apparently that she does a show called Fleabag, which
she's
people
won
like.
a Golden Globe. Good for her.
But,
she's 5 years younger than me.
A guy who's 80 wearing the same outfit he wore when he was 30... is kind of sad, especially if it's something that was fashionable and
That's
loud.
the thing, that's the point. Because he's
Yeah, so it means that Lando is no longer fashionable and stylish. He's just a sad old man who it's equivalent of a guy being obsessed with how good he was at sports when he was in college.
It'll probably get him a pity fuck, though. At least one cantina.
I doubt it. It's...
Wait, are you suddenly the expert of who finds Lando Calrissian attractive in the Star Wars universe?
I think in the Star Wars universe he would...
No.
He'd now be a sad, pathetic old man. It's...
Aliens would sleep with him.
If they'd given him another...
What if an alien's into humans? The alien's they're oh my gosh, I don't know what it is about that. I'm not, I'm into humans, but not usually this old, but there's just something about this one. It's like people who adopt an elderly dog. They're and the aliens, I find this humans so captivating. Yeah, I'd love to come back to your ship and look at your etchings. They know what's happening, but they just let themselves be led along because they're so fascinated. And they're this is my fetish. Honestly, so you're nobody would sleep with Lando Calrissian. You are not the keeper of sexual canon in the Star Wars extended universe.
It's the equivalent of a guy who's 80 wearing a disco suit now.
That's okay.
It's just...
He can do that. He's Lando Calrissian, bitch. He can do that. That's what he says. He even says, he's people, he would walk into the canteen and are you wearing? I'm Lando Calrissian, bitch. And they're fair play, General Calrissian. There you go.
I wish they'd given him a slightly different look, which was just as stylish, to show that he'd moved on with the times.
No one cared.
And maybe, maybe if L3 wasn't a robot, the robot body, it's just a personality, sort of like Jarvis.
She might have had a thing for humans.
It's
What's she been in?
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Emilia Clarke. Oh, she's Daenerys Targaryen. Oh, I didn't realize that. I guess because she has, does not have blonde hair in real life.
Yeah. She was also in, what do you call it, one of the crappy Terminator films.
I totally did not recognize her. Which is weird because sometimes, remember we saw, what's that X-Men movie that never got made? And then it finally did, no one saw it.
What?
The one that just came out recently.
Oh, New Mutants.
Yeah, we saw a trailer for that and I was like, oh, that wee girl looks like Maisie Williams, but she's far too young. And you were like...
Yeah, it was made a few years ago.
There's a tattoo artist in Derry who looks a lot like Maisie Williams.
I want to see the New Mutants. I like the early New Mutants because my older sister is a massive New Mutants fan. She's so big, she went to the cinema during COVID to see the film because she's such a big New Mutants fan. And
this woman was the voice of the alien crime lord.
Oh, Linda Hunt!
Aye.
Oh, Linda Hunt, she's a legend. She played Shadat Meeps in Dune. She is the only person, I believe, in history to win an Oscar for Best Actor while playing someone of the opposite sex.
That's pretty impressive.
She's a white, white lady. I believe she she's white anyway.
Oh, filmography.
She's playing.
She's the narrator of God of War.
She was playing an Asian dude. So she's in. She won it. This is in the mid '80s. She won
You
it.
could get away with that kind of shit.
She won it in yellow face.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Playing a guy who not only existed, but still lived at the time, I believe.
Yeah, she's been the narrator for the God of War series.
Yeah.
Interest.
Linda Hunt is awesome. I didn't.
Hey,
recognize
Without
her.
a Trace. I remember that series. That was good.
She's basically the real life version of the costume designer in The Incredibles.
Yeah, isn't that not who?
No, the
Oh no, yeah, she was based off that other person. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're very similar.
Oh, she played the voice of management in Carnival.
Yeah.
Okay.
We like her. She's cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like looking at things.
She also played the grandmother Willow in Pocahontas.
That's exactly what I've just seen. She was in.
What else? This film has the same problem as X-Men Origins Wolverine for me, in that you've got a character whose entire arc in the later films is that they're a scumbag learning to be better, and instead of having it, them be a scumbag in the original film, you've got it that they were nice people who apparently had one bad weekend and arbitrarily became scumbags after their film, before the other film.
We don't see all the other shit that goes down that turns him into a grizzled Harrison Ford type person.
Then if we're not actually seeing that, then what's the point of the prequel?
Because you're like, you think, oh my gosh, here's this guy with, like, he's kind of a scoundrel, but he's a heart of gold like I always knew. What turns him into the bitter old pissant that Harrison... So you think about... okay, well, so we know he's going to Tatooine. You assume it's to be to hook up with Jabba the Hutt. So we're expecting, it was like maybe 10 years?
It is about 10 years, yeah.
So what happens in service to Jabba and all this other kind of stuff? Because
that would have been a very nice Han Solo prequel.
There's a lot of novels out because there's now a new novel canon. Like there was the one that was written by, I forget what it was called, but it was a Lando and Han adventure. And it was kind of takes place in two different time periods, like it's Lando and Han and Leia doing a thing, but then it's also interspersed with like him and Lando doing a thing way back in the yonder.
Yeah.
And it was written by some really, really famous sci-fi author that I shelved but never read. But the problem was that like I just couldn't. The time switches were kind of random, and like it would be that thing where it's like a chapter is like just a page, and you go back to another time. And I was like, no, I just gave it to Jamie. Yeah. But like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's happening. Like canon-wise, like Chuck Wendig's trilogy, that's canon.
Oh yeah, no.
Thrawn novels. So there is stuff that's happening. It's just
Oh, I know that, and just the thing that
I'm defending the canon.
A prequel that what you've described, finding out why he was a scumbag. That would be really interesting for a prequel. Instead, what we get is an origin of his stuff, not his character. Which is a problem.
They thought that's what people wanted. And you know what? It was fine. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I was like, I felt that I spent my money well. I mean, okay, we watched it on Disney Plus. We bought that for other things.
For both this and for X-Men Origins Wolverine, I strongly feel that the character should have been at the end one of the villains, not the big bad villain, like a redeemable sub villain, a sympathetic villain to set up their next the
they
other
might
films.
have had another film or screenplay already in the works, and then just because it didn't do well, and then the COVID, and
Yeah, that's possible. I wish that's probably the film they should have made in the first place.
No one in Hollywood knows what they're doing except you.
Yes, this is quite true. Put me in charge of stuff. At least broadly, the plot will make sense. Like in this, Han Solo, if you give him his arc but somewhere between Kira and Beckett, it makes perfect sense. As in sympathetic, not actually a terrible person, just railroaded into being bad, who is doing bad actions and getting.
He's not bad. He's just written that way.
As it is, it's like, hey, I've always been nice, and here I am then setting up the rebellion because I'm awesome.
Well, he's actually not even that bad of a person in New
know.
Hope. He's just kind of like annoyed.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't actively betray them. He just kind of fucks off. Like they're like, "Oh, will you help us?" He's like, "No," but then he comes back. But the thing is, he's not really evil. He's just kind of pissed off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Redeemable, a sort of person that would help the goodies for some money.
I know a lot of people who are just kind of cranky that don't need redemption arcs. Christ's sake.
I need a redemption arc.
You will after. But alright, it's getting on to be 29 minutes, and we'll split the file soon if we're not careful.
Yeah, well.
Also, I'm tired. But patron who asked for that, I hope it was all that you dreamed of and more, especially since I already liked it anyway, so.
Dryden Voss's spaceship, the big skyscraper thing, would look like it was out of Stargate, but he only has like 20 guys in the skyscraper thing. It's like, that is bad crime bossing, dude. You need at least 300 guys in there.
That is the hubris of evil.
Like the big snake woman who's allergic to sunlight, living right underneath a glass window where sunlight can come through.
No, you know what that is?
A single pane, but a glass.
You know what that is? That's, again, the hubris of evil. It's like, this was not a place that she built. She obviously opportunistically inhabited it. And she was like, she ruled by fear and intimidation. And she ruled children. Yeah. And she was like, what child, I painted it. Like, that's all the way tall up there. Human children are small. Oh no, your sudden inevitable betrayal.
You're entirely right. It's a realistic form of dumbness. But it's just like, the universe needs a higher class of gangster, clearly.
She's not a very good one. Otherwise, why was she, buying trinkets off human children? If she was a real crime boss, she'd be like a fucking hut. Obviously, we're not
she's
talking...
She's way too thin to be a hut.
She's a parasitic insect. But obviously we're not dealing with the cream of the crime syndicate crop there. Living in a sewer on Corellia, bullying human children. And it's this thing that looks like, just like this kind of millipede thing. And I'm like,
living in a sewer on Corellia, which is a sewer, so that's a sewer squared.
Yeah, it's just like... we're not exactly talking fucking Moriarty here, not even Bug Moriarty.
Even the top crime boss in this film, Darth Maul, is like, hey, I'm Darth Maul. Check it out, I'm Darth Maul. I'm gonna reveal I'm Darth Maul. Check it out, Darth Maul. Lightsaber, Darth Maul.
That was 100% intimidation, because that was, I'm using the Force. I know you're lying to me. Have I told you about my lightsaber? Because the dark side is it's about pride and power and intimidation and shows of force. Oh, he died? How unfortunate. Why don't you come here? Lightsaber. We'll be working a lot closer. That's a warning. That's a threat. That says, I know what you're about, because I'm a fucking Force user. And my personal pet theory is she's Force sensitive and he's picked up on that.
It's possible. If there was a sequel, I'm pretty sure, you came up with an idea of how that would have run, and it's like, that would have been the logical way to go with it. But as it is, without the sequel, we've just got what they got on screen.
I ain't saying, I'm just saying. But yeah, so look forward to a lot more of these, and I'll be less tired.
And I'm going to get biffed a lot.
Why would I biff you?
Because I have my own opinions sometimes, and that is not allowed.
No, it's because you nitpick things that don't need to be nitpicked.
We have different opinions on what needs to be nitpicked.
I'm going to go to bed.
I love you.
I'm gonna go lay in bed and look at my phone.
I love you. I'm so glad that we're doing these again. See you guys later. Please leave comments about things that you've requested, so we know what to do.
Send a DM or something, just on Twitter.